90% of the support of the country. And then, with all that political climate and tension, the president is out of Nairobi. He is in Kwale attending to Mashujaa Day. You are holding a public event. You are saying it's for honoring heroes. That public event is 700 meters from State House. Do you think the government is full of stupid people to let you guys be there?
What I can say, that is why mimi nilikuwa nasema, yeah, it is not yet. Sai ukisema tuende maandamano kesho, of course naweza sema bado hatujakuwa ready. Kwa sababu nyinyi wenye mko hapo mbele, na that's why mimi narudia tena kusema haimaanishi nyinyi wenye mko front line, haimaanishi you mean well for us. But as long as you speak the same language, sisi tutafuata na I don't mean siku ya I mean 20th, haimaanishi hiyo ndio siku tunataka tuende maandamano. No. For that day mimi mwenyewe, let me speak for myself. 20th
wait, Brian. Brian, I'm not asking you to think like Brian. I'm asking you to think like the police. I'm asking you to think like government. Nasikuzi uoga. I'm not saying we should be afraid of them, but I'm also saying when we confront them, we should make sure we have the strength to defeat them. We should not lose any lives unless it's for victory. We should not lose any lives and lose. If we lose any lives or anybody is injured, it should be for victory. So now I want you to think like them. Don't think like you.
You know, sai kila mtu mimi naweza sema sai wanaangalia Uhuru Park, na kitu moja yenye watu wamedecide kufanya ni kumarch there with only flag, na kuna wengine wamesema wataenda na candles, you know. But haimaanishi polisi watatuona kama watu wenye tujakuja. They will use force, yes, katai. But as long as tutamarch kama ile wakati ya maandamano ya Gen Z. Yes, we know tutasumbuana, but tutafanya nini? Tuwaogope, turudi nyuma? Is that what you're trying to say? No?
All right, Brian, now let me tell you what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is this. Us marching to Uhuru Park or marching to State House with our flags is a big show of bravery. It's not that we are cowards. I'm not saying we should be cowards. But you see, even when you are brave, you don't walk into a hole. You become strategic. Whenever you want to slay a big dragon, you must be strategic. You must know how to attack. One of our weakest point right now, and why Nanenane failed, is because we haven't mobilized the rest of the country. We are taking this as a youth thing. We are taking this as a Gen Z thing. Instead of going back to the villages, doing civic education, and making these people understand why we even go to the streets. Because there are people out there who see us as an inconvenience. They see us as the people who make them not to go to work. They see us as the people who make their businesses to close when they should open their business. They don't know that if they don't go to the street with us, they will lose their businesses or they will lose the jobs that they already have. And whatever, even I'm a biblical man, and I know some, young people in Kenya don't like the Bible because of how it has been misused by leaders. But for me, I'm proud of the God that has made me who I am. So I just want to use an example from the Bible. The Bible says, whoever shall decide to preserve their life shall lose it, and whoever shall lose his life for my sake shall gain it. Now, why don't we just become a little bit more strategic? Why do we want to use kifua mbele when we know we don't have numbers, when we are outnumbered and outgunned, when we know that most of the young people are already afraid of kidnap and death, and most of them have been kidnapped, some have been killed, wameuziwa uoga, na some of them wamenunua. And we have to be realistic about that. You and I hatuogopi. Hata mi Morara siogopi. In fact, me I can march one army. Anybody who has gone to university with me in Kenyatta University knows that mimi naeza march to State House peke yangu. But now, sometimes there's bravery that comes with wisdom, where we plan something very well, we mobilize the numbers so that the whole country knows what we are fighting for. They understand the message. Remember, communication is the first place where we need to win this war. We need to win the war on communication. We need everybody on board by mind, body, and spirit, and they need to be understanding what we are fighting for. The other thing that made us fail during the Gen Z demonstrations is infiltration. We were infiltrated by people who had other agenda. Now, what prevents these same infiltrators from infiltrating us on this particular day when we want to run this event? Because from us, we are looking at it as an event of honoring fallen heroes. Very innocent. We are looking at it from an innocent point of view. Mbona mnatusumbua, yet sisi tunaenda kuhonor heroes wetu. Sisi to us. And you should remember that a fearful person is also a dangerous person. So if you are going to understand, and if you are going to want those leaders, and that all right, I think we've lost him. Hear him. Can anybody hear him?
Hello?
Oh, so Brian is speaking. Okay,
yeah.
Let him speak. Sorry, I lost him.
We lost you on the way, but you can continue.
Sorry. I think I already finished. I can't even remember what I was saying. Just pick it up from there. What I was saying is, can you hear? Yes, Brian, I can hear you. I think Morara is the one having the. Sorry. I think I already finished. I can't even remember what I was saying. Just pick it up from there. What I was saying is, can you hear me? Yes, Brian, I can hear you. What I was saying initially before I lost you is, do you think we should mobilize our numbers first, or do you think we should go for a confrontation direct?
Okay, me, I have one question for you, Morara. Me, swali yangu ni, when is the right time? Yeah. Then the strategy, you said tunaogopa kuna something will happen, police wataweza fanya kitu, but remember watu wanapoteza maisha yao hospitali because of NHIF and SHA. So my question is, when is the right time? When are you going to put the strategy in place so that sisi tuone, okay, it is time to go?
All right, so now this is our opinion, and this is something we discussed in the bottom for a long time, trying to find a solution on when is the right time to go for this. Personally, I believe we've not done enough in terms of civic education. For example, if you go to Laikipia, personally I was in Laikipia over the weekend, you find that, people are being told to pay cash in the hospitals. They are being told to pay in advance for medical treatment. And NHIF is not covering for them, and SHA is not working. Now, these same people, if you ask them today whether they are willing to demonstrate, they are 20, 80, 20% unwilling to go to the demonstration, meaning hawajaiva. It means either the pain has not yet hit them enough, or there is something lacking on the end of civic education. So we need to cook it right from the villages. Remember, majority of Kenya is made up of the rural areas. What is this that is preventing us who are on X? We keep holding space, we keep complaining about the government. Even when we had the Gen Z protests, I can almost assure you that most of the people that turned up are TikTok people. The people on X were so loud, very loud in terms of turning up, but there were very, very few people that turned up. At least there are some notable faces that I saw there, like Hanifa, I saw Ali Noor and other people, but there are very many people who are very loud on X but never turned up. But the people on TikTok, they actually turned up. So again, there is another aspect to it where Kenyans are comfortable complaining, but they are not comfortable taking action. For example, why are we unable to understand that we've not marshaled our numbers? Or let me just ask you, Brian, have we marshaled our numbers? Simple, yes or no? Have we marshaled our numbers? Do we have numbers to storm State House?
For now, it's a no.
If we don't have our numbers, why should we engage?
Okay, for me, I can say the moment nyinyi mmeanza ku speak the same language, the moment mmeanza kuongea the same thing, like tuna focus na one thing, that is when people will start seeing it coming. Lakini before muanze kuiongelea, I think it is not yet.
Now, there is also another problem, Brian, that you're not seeing. Huh? In this movement, those leading voices that you're talking about, there are some that are unable to work with others because of their ego. All right. They feel like when they work with others, it belittles them. There are others who don't want to work with others because of who is financing them. Their financial will not allow them to work with others. Now, there are others who don't want to work with others because they have ambitions. And if they work with others, they'll not get those ambitions. Personally, I'm willing to work with everyone. Actually, I don't even have an overreaching political ambition that I can say can prevent me from working with anyone. The problem I have sometimes, and I'm willing to work with very many people. The problem I have with sometimes, and this is not with everyone, but with one or two people, is who finances them and where they get their resources from. For example, Morara, mimi naitwangwa conman, inajulikana kwamba mimi napewangwa pesa na Wakenya, napeananga namba ya M-Pesa. That's how I manage to have an office. That's how I manage to have computer. It's a known fact. But there are people who do great things that you've never known sometimes where they get their resources from. Some, spend their own personal resources, and that is very commendable of them. But some are actually financed from certain places. And you need to ask yourself, these people, when they are financed, what is the interest of their financiers? That is why sometimes I'm very cautious about who I want to work with or why I want to work with them, because I cannot rush into working with them when I don't know whether their mission is my mission. So there's also that factor. But I agree with you that we need to come together and work together, but it's not going to be easy, because ndio binadamu wakae waelewane wote ati on one page kila mtu kitu moja. It's not easy. Because again, remember, there is somebody who is for the movement right now, but a few days from now, he will not be for the movement. Kuna mtu sahi amesimama na sisi kidete anataka change. Lakini akionwa kando na William Ruto apewe milioni 10 ama milioni 20, they skip very fast because they need money. So we also need to look at it from that angle, don't you think, Brian?
Yeah, and I think, let me just say this for the mwisho before I can give others to speak. Mi nataka nikuulize, like ile time wakati wewe ulishikwa, uliona ile impact yenye wewe peke yako unaweza lete. So kitu yenye mimi ninaweza sema, kama wewe Morara, ukitest waters, if you just call for maandamano, wewe ujiamini na you just decide to do it, sema ni time fulani we are going to the street, I'm sure. Like for example, let me use example ya Eric Omondi. Eric Omondi alisema yake tunataka tuende Uhuru Park na yake ni ya kuhona the heroes. Hiyo sikata na unaona kila mtu amefix mind yake, we are going there. So as for you Morara, wewe ukidecide, like hiyo hata hakuna mtu alikuwa amepanga, but sisi wenyewe on TikTok tulimobilize, kuna wenye walitusaidia hapa on X pia, na watu wengi sana walitana wakakuja kwa street hiyo time. So mimi naweza kukuambia wewe peke yako you can do this, alafu hao wengine watajoin. Haimaanishi like ni lazima utafute hao, you have a meeting so that muorganize venye itakuwa, no. Ni mmoja aseme so that hao wengine waseme. Juu mimi naona nyinyi wote mimi nawafuatilia na naangalia kila kitu yenye mnapost. Nyinyi wenye mko frontline, huyu anaogopa kukoa wa kwanza kusema, huyu anaogopa kukoa wa kwanza kusema, ama acha nisitumie kwa muoga kusema. Naweza sema kila mtu anangoja mwingine kusema. So for me I can say wewe Morara, kwa sababu watu wengi sana wanakuangalia wewe kama future leader. Kama wewe decide to do this, au wengine mimi niko sure the moment ukisha set momentum hivi, au wengine they will just follow. That is all I can say. But for me, mimi nakuangalia and just decide to do it, then utaona venye kila mtu anangoja. Anangoja tuseme wewe unangoja mtu mwingine aseme huyu for example ile wakati ya Gen Z movement, kila mtu alikuwa anasema okay, maandamano ni siku fulani na ikatokea hivyo, na kila mtu unapata the first day watu wali turn out kwa sababu kila mtu alikuwa amesha set mind yake like maandamano ni siku fulani, na haiko inatokea ina nini kutoka kwa mtu mmoja. So the moment wewe umesha set, au wengine sasa they will start to fix their mind wakijua. Na hata kama kuna wenye watakuja leo, tukiangalia kama ya Bangladesh, hawakuanza siku moja sasa wakuje in millions. Na hata ukiangalia Gen Z movement Eldoret hakukuwa na maandamano hata kidogo the first time, but the more tulikuwa tunaendelea, the more tunaona other counties join, tukiendelea na civic education. The moment tumeanza hii kitu, hata tukianza na watu wachache, tutaendelea kujoin. Plus hizi vitu yenye natuuma kila siku, there are so many people die in the hospital, na kila siku wanaendelea kutrigger ile kitu yenye natuumiza sisi. So the moment mtu sasa kama saa hii wewe uko na followers kubwa sana, yenye ukisema hata kesho twende street, na utaona venye watu wataanza kumobilize TikTok, na utapata kesho unaweza pata watu wametana bila ile namba yenye hata wewe mwenyewe uko unafikiria. Na as the days goes by utapata vitu mingi inaendelea kuongezeka. So thank you for that. That is my submission, and you can take it from there.
Thank you so much, Brian. That was a conversation where Brian got to ask me some questions and I got to answer. Well, I know some of you agree, some of you disagree. We don't have to agree. We just have to have a same vision on what we want to do, then agree on how best we can do it. I don't claim that I have all the wisdom in the world, but I know that I have a clean heart and that I wish Kenya well. But I'm not all wise and all knowing. I can be wrong. And when I'm wrong, I'm ready to be corrected. Now we are going to give the mic to someone else, so that someone else anaweza endelea. But now we will limit the conversations to maximum of 1 minute, at most 2 minutes. Let's say 2 minutes. Just deliver your point in 2 minutes. Drop off. Let's give other people a chance to speak so that we have as many people to speak. At least my conversation with Brian has set the tone. So I don't hope for any other conversation to take that long where maybe we have back and forth of questioning. So I hope that this sets the tone. Now you get where the conversation is going. You're able to come and inject. Sawa sawa. So now, Liberation, it's your moment. 2 minutes. Mbio tukisonga.
Yeah, I hope you...
Moment, 2 minutes. Mbio tukisonga.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay, so first of all, my name is Patrice. I'm a big fan of yours. I've actually become a Morara sycophant. So I'm about to criticize you, but it's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of love. Okay. So lately, I feel like you've been making it a bit hard to defend you, and I'm speaking as someone who has been defending you everywhere, right? On TikTok, mtu akiongea vibaya, I'm the first kumtusi, like we tumia akili. Even Miguna recently said something bad about you, nikamsomea, and he blocked me with my 36 followers. But lately, there are some things which you've been saying which are making it a bit hard to defend you, which is why I'm here telling you to your face and hoping that you will be able to change. Because whether you like it or not, when you join politics, you become a politician. And you actually need to read the room and look at what people are saying about you and change it. So for instance, this thing about raising money, yeah, I agree with you 100% that in developed countries, there are people like Trump who actually get donations, but then they're not mentioning donations every single time. Okay, so I can see that you have a pinned post that is showing your number. I'm sure you have it also on TikTok. Maybe even in your car you can have the number. Actually, itoshe. Because every time you mention it, you are alienating some people. You're giving people ammunition. Right now, if there is a debate between Morara and William Ruto, what is the one thing William Ruto will use to attack you? Siatasema this person is just using people to make rich, to get rich. That is what Kasmuel is now using to defend himself. And I'm not asking people for money. Basically, he's implying that, unlike Morara, So you need to be reading the room, unaona yenyewe hapa hivi nimezidi, acha nitulie, let me move with the crowd. Okay, okay. You need the support of influential people. You might not like all of these people. I know that there are people who are paid. There are people who are jealous. Some people will even post negative stuff about you just for rage baiting. Just saying something outrageous and you apate, engagements on Twitter. That's fine. But you also need to be approaching these people. You have to be approaching people like Faith Odiambo, people like even this thing about the event at Uhuru Park. The day, sometimes I'm kicking myself, telling myself, who is this advising Morara? I wish I was in that team. Because the day that you were attacked, I was thinking to myself, man, this is so unfortunate. But if this guy akiwa mjanja, he can turn this to his advantage na akue an enigma. As a leader, you have to be an enigma. You have to be a symbol of strength. The same way they attempted to assassinate Trump, akaonyesha strength. That is how you should have approached it. I was thinking maybe Morara would lay low and then siku ya Uhuru Park anaweza maybe ongea na Eric Omondi such that on the day of Uhuru Park he appears as a surprise guest, aonyeshe watu strength, watu cheer, they become enraged like yeah, I was thinking that's probably the approach that I would have made if I was in your position, and that would have brought about an aura about you, because as a leader lazima ukuwe na that aura, ukuwe na that braveness. But instead you showed up looking a bit weak. Okay, you showed up in a press conference looking weak. Watu wakaona this guy is weak, and that's the reason why people did not show up the second time you were arrested. People do not want to show up to a weak leader. People want to be behind someone who has an aura of strength. Usionyeshe, never show people your weakness. Hata when people are criticizing you hapa, just if there's a pressing issue, you address it once and you move on. Stop giving people so much ammunition to strike you. And that's my main point. Okay, and number two, just because time ni kidogo. Number two, please go and think about that. Usionyesha people your weakness and work hard to work with influential people, whether you like them or not. Now, my second point. This is for the Inject Party and the members of Parliament who will be voted in 2027 or wherever their elections are. I think these are suggestions which I've been having for a long time of ways that we can stop corruption in this country. And there are just two things which I think that you really need to talk to the MPs from the Inject Party who go in to introduce these two things in Parliament. Number one is to incentivize the fight against corruption by giving people the monetary reward based on the amount that they've recovered. For example, kama mtu ameiba 5 billion from the government and a lawyer files a case and recovers that money, that lawyer gets maybe a percentage of that, let's say 1 billion or something like that. This way, it will incentivize people to fight against corruption and corruption itaisha. So kutakuwa na so many people fighting against corruption that corruption in the country will end. I'm not just speaking out of my behind. This thing is implemented in UK, in Australia, in India, in I think even the US. I'm not sure, but there are many developed countries which have this that Kenya does not have, which is why we have corruption and people are afraid to fight corruption. We need to incentivize the fight against corruption by giving people rewards for winning corrupt cases, not just giving them asylum or something. Haisaidii sana. That's why we're not fighting corruption. The second thing, which I'm not entirely sure about, but it's something that we probably need to discuss and figure out the pros and cons. Kenya probably needs an electoral college. The fact that we only have two communities that's in Amua, and yet we have 47 communities in Kenya. We have people in Turkana who have nothing. Au wanaangalia tu, and the votes are being determined on Tarakaniti ndo anaamua who becomes president. I think that's very unfair. We might need an electoral college so that everyone in the country has a say on who becomes president. Otherwise, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much. You went much beyond your minutes, but because you were saying something very important, I decided to just let it go. Thank you. I've taken the advice positively. I know sometimes you don't agree with some of the things that I do or how I do them. I'm also, even me, sometimes I'm surprised at some of the things that happen. Huh? Not everything will be okay, but as long as we are committed and ready to, be persons of integrity and to keep, fighting for what we believe in and being consistent also. Even those people who are saying Morara has been bought, Morara has been bought, he has been paid by the government. If they look at me and they find that I'm still consistent and that I'm still doing whatever I used to do, then hata hiyo story yao ya this person being a mole itaisha. All it takes is consistency. So I also need not to stop whatever I'm doing, to keep doing it so that consistency can continue inspiring people. Thank you very much. Now Keoti Sonko is here. Keoti Sonko is going to be our co-host today. And he's going to help me in co-hosting. I'm going to drop some of you who have already spoken. Then give this opportunity now to DK Gift. The DK Gift. All right. The DK Gift, it's your moment.
Hi, Morara. How are you?
Very well. How do you do?
Very fine, and good evening to everyone who's listening. Like you said, my name is DK Gift. I am a digital marketer and a content creator and communication strategist. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you and also to talk to every other Kenyan who's here. I do appreciate the opportunity. Maybe if you do allow me, Morara, I'd like to try my minutes in a small, slight different way, which is probably spend 2 minutes or maybe 1 minute by asking you some questions, maybe 2 or 3, and then I'll spend my last minute giving my thoughts. Would that be okay with you?
That's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
All right. So the first, and as I ask my questions, the first thing I'd like to say is, for me, I really do not care about a lot of propaganda that would be said by anybody when it comes to someone being bought, they're using your money, I think things like those remain to someone's own discretion. So everybody needs to figure out who you want to trust or who you don't want to trust. Now, the first question I wanted to ask you is, do you believe that leaders can come in 2 ways? A, those that put their voice to be a vessel of others that they believe they share the same conscience and the same principles and the same values. And B, bestowed by persons or by people where you're selected to represent or be their voice.
Sorry, I lost you because of internet somewhere on the way. Please repeat it briefly.
Okay. My question was, would you agree that leaders could come, or leaders can emerge, people that you could call leaders can emerge from either of 2 ways? A, B, people who have been selected by persons to be their voice, to represent their voice and their principles, or B, persons who've actually placed their own voice to speak on things that they believe certain persons in the society, they share the same principles and values.
Yes, I believe leaders can come from either of those ways.
Okay. Would you agree with me if I say that me and many other Kenyans view you as a leader mostly because of option B, which is you placed your voice in a space and in a place where you're speaking much that is in most of our minds? If I said it that way, would you agree with me?
Yes, I would agree with you.
Okay. Now, my reason for asking you those 2 questions is not a lot on me coming to debate on, should we go to Narok, should we not go to Narok, should we be in Uhuru Park, should we not be in Uhuru Park. My purpose or my reason for asking that is because I believe anyone who is in a position of leadership, whether coming from either of the 2 options, must always remember that what they say, what they do, how they act, how they behave, whether they mean it or not, whether they tend to or not, is a communication to those that they actually do represent, whether they are aware of it in the moment that they are acting in so. And so a lot of times when you speak, you as a person, who you're a leader. And when I say you're a leader, I don't just necessarily mean a leader to me, but a leader to also many who are speaking your same language. And please forgive me if you hear for 2 seconds my little one crying for a second. I'm sorry, Mama. The reason I'm saying that is because when you speak, your words, your actions are stronger than you could ever believe. And I think it is one of the sentiments that went to every person who saw your tweet today, where it was not only about that you have supposedly divided people, but it is also because it has come somewhere in between, in a moment in time when everybody believed and knows that they're walking in the same direction about what they've been talking about in the last 2-3 days in regards to Uhuru Park. Now, you who is a leader amongst these people who believe this, and please remember, I'm not disputing with you that there are young people, more of them. When you speak in that moment and say something that somehow, in some way, represents something indifferent in that moment as to what they have in their mind, even though you did have your good intention, because it is true, not every person is going to make it to Nairobi. There are those in Narok, there are those in Kisumu, there are those everywhere. But in that moment, it sends a certain kind of a message that someone takes a minute and asks themselves, okay, fine, you're making your point, not everybody is going to come, but there's a but that I don't even know what to say, because I myself, I don't even have an answer for the but after that. Why? Because for a second there, I just felt, for just a split of a second, as if you're talking two different languages. So for me, and I don't want to take too much time, I think, Morara, what I want to tell you straightforward is this. Sure, you have the right to speak your mind. Sure, you have the right to pick the kind of people you want to work with. But I'll tell you at the end of the day, in between this race, we are not going to stop at any point because we are not trusting each other. We will have to walk together. And in between, time number one will drop those who are not faithful or trustworthy. Those who cannot be allowed by their financials, they will drop off. If we start off as 1 million people and 999,999 of them end up honest, that one person is going to get to the end of the journey. And I think at some point, it's never going to be about only finding the right time to walk out. It's also going to be about just remembering that you and me, who is using our voices to be heard, we have to show unity of purpose. Thank you very much, Morara, for listening to us, and have a lovely night.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your words. This is also to let you know that I am not aware how the event was being organized on Uhuru Park. I also saw it on the media like you. Nobody invited me. So again, I would not have get crushed, although I was invited as the rest of the Kenyans, and therefore I should, also be able to go there as a Kenyan, or maybe to contact the organizers and ask them how they are organizing it. But say for that fact that I made my own independent opinion together with my team. We sat down long hours, we debated it, and we got to the decision that even if we were the organizers and even if we were put on the organizing team, we would not have seen it as a good idea. We disagreed with the idea of having such an event on such a day at such a place. And the reason we thought so is because we risk being infiltrated. And when we are infiltrated, our movement is turned into a weapon for someone else. We saw a risk of confrontation with government without numbers, where people are injured and yet they are not winning. For us, we just want to, if there is going to be any injury or loss of life, it's for victory. So we saw it as an unnecessary confrontation without numbers. Yani a battlefront where we are outgunned, outnumbered, yet we've not marshaled our numbers enough. Then again, the other way we looked at is that there is something very important that has yet to be done before we can get to that point of Uhuru Park. So much as the rest of the nation and most of my followers have been psyched up to go to Uhuru Park, I feel that I have a responsibility, just as you've said, as a leader, to not just give people a popular decision which they are happy with or which many of them agree with, but the right decision. And sometimes those right decisions are not popular. And this is something we've thought about, looked about the welfare of the people, the chances of success, how much we numbers we have, what we think can happen, what we think the other side might do, because sometimes when you do planning, you also think about the other side. And we looked about the situation where a deputy president has been the right, a winning battle, do it, but I believe Sunday will vindicate me. Based on the events of Sunday, I know I'll be vindicated in terms of how I had thought it through. So, but I am grateful to your advice. But I believe. Wait a minute. First, I want to say. Communication expert, and I would like to request that if for any day you are available and you're willing to just help me out, I like you on team, even if it is just on our Telegram group or on WhatsApp group, to just be helping me, because sometimes I want to say the right thing, but probably I don't say it the right way, or I don't package it properly. So it comes off as a different message. So I really appreciate your skill, because I'm not everything in one person. I rely on the support of a professional. And if you would be willing, I'll also be willing to share some of my ideas with you in the future, so that you help me message those ideas so that they are not taken out of context or thought of in a different way other than the way that I intended them to be communicated. So, I hope DK Gift you'll accept my offer.
I will, and in the spirit of how you said we will keep this short, I will definitely do my best to keep this short. The first thing I'll say is this: I am very willing. I think there's a couple of people here who would attest that I am very willing to actually figure something out, because it's good there's a statement you just said at the end of it, and it doesn't say anything wrong about you to admit it. That sometimes even I, who's a communication expert, there's a time where the thought in my mind and how I place it out to the people do not come exactly the same. And so I have to keep learning, to keep looking at a way where to make sure that my thoughts in my words are able to represent not just what I believe on my end, but also because I am continuously listening to the people I want to talk to, I am also placing myself in a position of representing them in the same space and bringing them in a place where I show them, okay, you're telling me this, I'm showing you this, and somewhere in between you're able to meet. The other thing I wanted to say is, I think besides the fact that people would really love to see Morara there at Uhuru Park, for me, it's neither here nor there, because Morara, you and I are not in the same place. You have 162,000 followers. You've been so vocal out there. You literally have